Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of WNBL ITV. We are just 1 week away from finally solving the puzzle. Who will make the WNBL finals? It's been the most gripping regular season that just about anybody can remember. And as I'm joined once again by Laurie Chiswick, well, there's only one thing we know, and that's that Adelaide and Bulleen are going to play off in the major semi-final. And after that, I don't know where your bit of paper is, but you can just throw it up in the air again.
We're down. Can you believe that, Darren? All year we've talked about the closeness of the season, and it has lasted right to the final round. There's been comebacks, there's been injury woes for, real key players. This season has just thrown out everything at us.
Well, Laura, I know you've been playing Sudoku basically all Christmas, since Christmas, just to try and get your problem-solving skills in place so that you can explain to us a bit later in the show exactly what's going to happen in this last round.
Yeah, and believe me, it's taken a lot of time, and I'm sleep-deprived this week because of it.
Yeah, I can imagine. All right, well, the Adelaide Lightning, with their win last Friday night over the Bulleen Boomers, secured top spot in the WNBL. It was their fifth minor championship, or it will be their fifth minor championship, Laurie. On 3 of the 4 previous occasions, they've gone on to win the title, and I reckon they're in the box seat based on their performance on Friday. Oh,
absolutely, Darren. They are just a class act. And again, there was a late withdrawal start of the game by Susie Batkovic, and they still just came out and really controlled the game.
The games that they have played without Susie in recent weeks, they haven't been anywhere near as explosive offensively. Only score at 71 in this game was their top score. But their defence is just smothering.
Well, I think they've just taken that approach that they're, as we've said, they're not going to fill Susie's shoes offensively, but defensively they can get it done. And they certainly did to Bulleen. There was no way that Bulleen had any flow going. It really looked like they struggled to find any sort of offensive continuity.
They did, and we should remember, of course, for Bulleen, still without their starting point guard, Sam Richards, who we know is a champ, and Joe Leadham as well. Karen Harrington started the game, just 19 years of age in the point guard spot, and I thought she did a good job, Laurie, but, there's still obviously, it's a big downgrade with respect to Karen from Sam.
Oh, absolutely, and I think they battled admirably, and we know that Liz Cambridge and Alice Kunuk were both ill. I met them in the lobby prior to the game, and I can honestly say they're germ bags. They were just coughing and sputtering away, and it showed on the court. I thought Liz labored a little bit up and down, and we had a classic...
What did Tom say?
Well, a classic Tom Marr line when he pulled Liz off and said to her, "Liz, you may be sick, but you're not dead." And, a credit to Bulleen. I thought they fought it out, but I think they were pretty happy just to get out of Adelaide.
Yeah, they were. They were a little bit disappointed with the result, but as Laurie said, at least they competed, and Adelaide were excellent. Jo Hill was superb once again for the Lightning. Jenny Screen was great as well. The veterans played a big role through injury as well for Jenny Screen. But their best player was Abby Bishop, 24 points and 14 rebounds, and after the game she spoke to ABC's Rachel Spawn.
Well, Abby, a lot of reasons to celebrate. A win, but also securing the minor premiership.
Yeah, it was a great game, hard-fought win, and obviously both teams are a little undermanned, so I think that made it tougher, but credit to our girls, they really stepped up, and now we've got that home court semi locked in. Still got one more week next week against Dandenong, of course, and we've just got to keep getting better.
And Abby, had a great game personally, and you did it tonight without Susie Batkovic.
Yeah, look, for me, I was pretty rubbish last week against Bendigo, and I wanted to step up. And without Susie, obviously, we need more rebounds, and I had an opportunity to take a few more shots, and they went in. But I mean, it's everybody else getting the ball around, and I think everybody stepped up in their own different way tonight and helped us get the win.
Well done, and we look forward to seeing you play in the finals.
Thanks, Rach.
A very happy Abby Bishop, and so she should be. She's had a great season, and once again leading the Adelaide Lightning to a win in the absence of Susie Batkovic. Well, the round started way back last Wednesday night when, as we mentioned on WNBL ITV, the Canberra Capitals were looking forward to celebrating Jessica Bibby's 300th game, and they did so with a comfortable victory over the RAS. Congratulations to Jess, just the 10th player to actually reach that milestone. The Dandenong Rangers then were up next on Friday night, Laurie, and they had to win against the West Coast Waves, and they did it with ease. And once again, they were able to get through some of their bench players and give them some quality minutes.
Well, they did give their bench players some minutes, but I tell you what, Steph Cumming, 22 points, but at 9 from 10, 3 from 3 in 23 minutes. That's a huge effort.
It was a huge effort. Probably, I think Dave Herbert was a little bit disappointed with the defensive efforts of the West Coast Waves, which they did improve a little bit later in the weekend. We'll get to that in a moment. The Logan Thunder, once again, were in a must-win situation, this time coming up against the AIS, and they were successful. Again, they were able to rotate through some of their players. Good to see Natalie Purcell leading the way with 19 points. She's only been back in the country for a couple of weeks after spending some time away, so it's good for Logan as they continue their charge to an unlikely finals berth.
Well, they just need every confidence builder that they can get, and that certainly would have done that. You know, just the fact that they could tweak things, they could do things in preparation maybe for this big weekend coming up.
The Bulleen Boomers were held by the West Coast Waves to just 81 points, and again, Bulleen were labouring perhaps a little bit. Both these sides had played earlier in the weekend, and you know, once again, a win that the Boomers needed.
Well, they did, and regardless of the scoreline, you know, they had that game the night before. They've got all those injuries. They would just be glad to get through that game unscathed any further.
And tell us about the final game of the weekend. Bendigo and Sydney, right down to the wire. These sides have played already, well, this was only the second time they played this season. Both matches ending in 2-point results, and both matches ending in wins to Sydney.
Wow, you know, they just must match up really well against each other. And I think full credit needs to go to Karen Dalton for this win. I think she did a wonderful job of changing things up, both her matchups, her defenses, and it was a little bit hard to read what they were actually throwing at them. So I think that very good coaching by Karen Dalton, but it did come down to the wire. You know, Bendigo were down by 3 with, I think, under 24 seconds to go. Christy Harrower drove it in for a 2, but the problem being they then had to foul, and they still had 4 fouls to give. So that really ate away at the time, and they really didn't get a shot up to try and go ahead.
They've lost a few heartbreakers this year, Laurie, and last year I know they went 4-2 in matches. 4 wins, 2 losses in matches decided by 5 points or less. That took them to 3rd spot at the end of the regular season. What about this year?
Well, this year it's completely reversed there and makes such a difference. This year they're actually 2 wins, 5 losses in those games that are 5 and less. So, you know, and then they had that heartbreaking loss against West Coast, an upset. So they would be ruining those chances.
And there it is. That's the difference between
finishing
finishing
season.
3rd or 2nd or 3rd and possibly missing the finals. We're going to have all those details in a minute. We'll tell you exactly the combinations and the scenarios, the permutations and combinations. But before we get to that, we need to fortify ourselves, Laurie. So we're going to cross to Catherine Murphy at the news desk.
Thanks, Darren and Laurie. Well, as we know, Adelaide secured the minor premiership at the weekend, and Abby Bishop ensured herself the Player of the Week award. In the absence of star Susie Bakovic, she scored 24 points and had 14 rebounds, helping Lightning to a 13-point win and, of course, sealing top spot and that all-important home final. Well done to her. Next, an injury update from Bendigo, and Deanna Smith is in doubt for the club's crucial round 18 clash with Logan. She limped off in the 3rd quarter of the Spirits' narrow loss to Sydney at the weekend with a foot injury. Coach Bernie Harrower says she'll be assessed later in the week. Finally, Bulleen Boomers' finest have been out partying with one of Australia's most high-profile female athletes. Liz Cambage and Alice Kunek were hanging out with 7-time world champion surfer Layne Beachley at Oakley's rooftop party in St Kilda. Now, as Darren and Laurie said, the pair are actually recovering from chest infections. I can assure you they were very well behaved at the party. It was all very civilised, Darren, probably unlike your weekend.
Yes, well, I don't know quite about that, Laurie, but we did have a nice couple of drinks out on Friday night in Adelaide, didn't we?
Yeah, I don't know.
Pleasant.
I always thought what happens on the road stays on the road, but it's obviously gotten out, Darren.
We're going to move right along here. Let's have a look at the ladder. Now, as we've said, Adelaide and Bulleen are guaranteed to finish in that order, right at the top. Yeah. Congratulations to the Lightning and also the Boomers. They've finished in the top 2 the last 4 years in a row. But then after that, this is where it gets so fascinating. Now, we've got a graphic here, Laurie, of where the teams can actually finish. Now, we're going to go through the games and all the combinations in detail, but just giving it a quick little rundown. Dandenong, with a win, can finish in 3rd, or else they can finish in 4th if they lose. Townsville, 3rd, 4th, 5th, or possibly even miss out. Sydney Uni, similarly, 4th, 5th, or possibly they'll miss out. And then Bendigo and Logan are in situations where, well, they have to, well, for Bendigo anyway, they must win, absolutely have no choice but to win or else they'll miss out. Whilst the Logan Thunder, they're in an interesting situation because they've got 2 games left this week.
Well, Darren, the bottom line from all that is that Sydney and Bendigo's destinies aren't in their hands. They still need to rely on others, which is a bit ironic given that Sydney plays West Coast, which is probably the most winnable game of that round. So really, Dandenong, Townsville, and Logan, if they take care of business, well, you would think they would all get in, but really Sydney will miss out.
And if they take care of business, then Logan can jump from, I think, 6th or 7th where they are now right up to 3rd or 4th possibly. So it really is quite remarkable. We'd written them off a couple of weeks ago, but the results have gone their way, and here they are, still with a genuine shot. All right, let's break this down and have a look at each of the games individually. Sydney against West Coast is the first one up on Friday night, and we know we would expect Sydney to win. The Waves have only won 2 games this year, of course, once against the AES and once against Bendigo. So you'd expect the Sydney Uni Flames, who go in with pretty much, with a clean bill of health other than Eva Efiaki, we know, who's been missing for most of the second part of the season. They should take care of business.
Oh, absolutely. I think, you know, their bench players in Lauren King and Natalie Stafford have really stepped up. For Karen Daughton, it'll be about obviously getting the W, but it will definitely be about fine-tuning and looking at different ways and means that they can improve on certain aspects of their say defensive sets and offensive structures.
So just to confirm that if Sydney win this, they will probably finish 5th. They could get to 4th, but could also miss out. And if they lose, they could still make it, but they're really desperately relying on other results and all the complicated head-to-head results and tiebreakers and all that sort of stuff. Bendigo and Logan on Friday night. Again, Bendigo must win this. If they don't win, they're no chance. Even if they do win, they still might miss.
Well, and given we're not sure about Deanna Smith and where her injury stands, Christy just looks like she's just sore at this time of year. So having said that, Kelly Wilson is a great replacement for either of those if they have to. Again, we say Logan is desperate, but how many times have we said that? So, you know, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, when can Logan really pull a big game out? You know, they lost to Bulleen a couple of weeks ago. They lost to Adelaide a couple of weeks ago when they had genuine chances. So did Townsville as well. You know, let's not forget them.
Yeah.
Both, you know, the Bulleen and Adelaide went into those games relatively undermanned, and neither of the Queensland teams could get the job done. Can they claim a big scalp?
Well, now's the time to, Darren, and they haven't yet. So I think they're just up and down. So let's hope they're on a bit of a, let's hope for their sake they're on a little bit of a high in that wave.
Our ABC TV game of the week is coming on Saturday afternoon, actually, 1 o'clock in the eastern states. It will be live. Check your local guides. It should be 1 o'clock nationwide. Adelaide against Dandenong. Now, the Lightning, this game means nothing to them. They will finish top regardless. For Dandenong, if they win, they will secure 3rd spot, which gives them a home final against an opponent who has already played earlier that week. So this is a significant game for the Rangers.
Yeah, massive game for the Rangers. And they've won the last 5. It's been against, you know, West Coast twice, AIS, and a couple of other teams, but they still would be feeling good. Their shooters are scoring right now. For Adelaide, again, the big question mark will be whether they decide to rest Susie or play her. So that's something the coaching staff would have to analyze. But again, Darren, you know, I've got my coach's hat on. I think we have to give full credit to Peter Buckle for the way he has brought this team together. You know, he's come in as a new coach, lots of new players, some older players that don't always, you know, meld to the way that the coach wants them. So full credit to him, and he's certainly my vote for Coach of the Year. And hopefully he's renewing his contract right now, and this will help him. Yeah,
well, Laurie, quickly, you're coaching Adelaide. You've got to rest Susie, don't you?
Well, I think so, given especially it's a back, she may feel fine right now, but if she plays like she did against Bendigo, it flared up again. So it's just too important knowing that she'll definitely have a game on Saturday against number 2, Bulleen.
And of course, the one game that Adelaide have lost this season without Susie was to the Dandenong Rangers. Dandenong Rangers also, we should say, congratulations Alison Downey, 250 WNBL games for her. Bulleen and Logan on Saturday night. Again, this game means nothing to the Bulleen Boomers. They will finish 2nd regardless of what happens here. Logan, depending on what happens on Friday night against Bendigo, could be having a crack at a top 3 or 4 spot and maybe a home final, or else, who knows?
Well, if they win on Friday, they will be really pumped for this game because it means so much. And Bulleen, I know, I think they've had to get in Sharon Milner to help out with training this week, and they're very undermanned. So it'll be interesting again to see how Tom presents it. They'll want to win in front of their home crowd and be preparing. They may be without those players the following week, so they'll still have to prepare as if those players aren't going to be available.
All right, and Logan have never hosted a home final. They made the finals for the first time in their short history last year, so they would love to give their fans and that annoying cheerleader a crack at a home final, Laurie. I'll let you think about that for a moment as we move on to the next game. Townsville against Canberra. The last game of the WNBL regular season up in far north Queensland. And once again, the equation is simple for Townsville. Win and you're in. Lose and you run the risk of missing out.
Well, Darren, if there's any team, too, that can go up to Townsville and beat them there, it's Canberra. They have nothing to lose. Their season's over. They're going to be playing free-flowing and you know, not a care in the world. Whereas Townsville, I can just see Chris Lucas's palms are going to be pretty sweaty. They could get tight. Anything could happen because there is so much at stake.
From a personnel perspective, these teams have had the best part of 2 weeks off. Townsville had the bye last week. Canberra played on a Wednesday night against the AIS. So we know that that's not as physically taxing as it is playing against some other teams. Now, Ali Manu is still injured for Townsville. We're not sure whether she's going to take her place in the lineup. I think that's a big loss for them. You know, she comes off the bench, but she plays some pretty solid minutes and is really competitive and aggressive and gets them fired up.
Well, and with the likes of Adrossi playing well now.
And Tolo, obviously.
And Tolo, you know, I don't know how her ankle is, but they need those bigs to keep them in check. So, you know, that's a big loss for them. All
right, this is a real danger game for Townsville. But, okay, Laurie, what are we going to have? What are we going to have in the first week of the finals? Time to go.
All right, well, I'll put my reputation on the line here because I've been terrible all year. We go with Adelaide Bulleen.
Good start.
Yeah, good start. I think Dandenong, I'm just going to go with the ones that their destiny's in their own hands. You know, so that's Dandenong. I think then that puts Townsville in 4th and Logan in 5th.
Wow. Okay. Well, you said you're going to put your reputation on the line. I don't have much of reputation, so I'm not going to put it on the line. That's all I've got time for on WNBL TV.
You're so soft, Darren Boyd, not to put any tips in.
I hope that you have enjoyed our program once again, and we'll be back next week to preview all the action in the finals and have a look back at what's gone on in this dramatic round 18. Thanks for your company.